Do you know a food pusher? Do you know a sugar pusher? Do you know a drug pusher? And what's the difference? Well, the difference one is the type of drug that people are pushing. And what happens a lot of times in our culture is we have learned to feed people as a way of showing our love. And I know this happens a lot. It happened to me as a chef in relationship. That was my way of expressing love. It was like I was so excited about food and how delicious it tasted. I wanted everyone to experience that joy that I got from cooking and eating in particular. This happens a lot with grandparents, and I have many parents who want to keep their kids sugar-free, and they really struggle with educating their parents or trying to stress to their parents that we really want our kids off of sugar. And grandparents have grown up in an age where sugar was just this thing that was everywhere and it was harmless. So now that we have literally a deluge of information showing how harmful sugar can actually be, sometimes they're not caught up in the information. They don't realize how bad it can be for little children in particular. And it's their way of kind of ingratiating themselves to the children. And there's also that great thing about grandparenting where you've got all the joy and not the responsibility. So you can actually fill them up with sugar, and then when it's actually exploding in their body and creating problems in their brain and with their emotions, they get sent home to mom and dad so they don't have to deal with that piece. So what do you do when you're confronted with a food pusher, either towards your children or yourself? And the first thing that I absolutely suggest is to understand people's intention. And even if it is in a place of manipulation, it's just basically one of their coping mechanisms. So we had someone in the Sweet Freedom program where she was offered sweets, and when she was telling the person that she was on the Sweet Freedom program, the person actually said to her, "If you don't eat this, it will hurt my feelings," and presented a plate of sweets to her. And I mean, it's amazing that she managed to resist, and she was concerned that she might have lost a friend in doing so, but she did something that was really difficult for most of us, in that she protected her well-being over another person's feelings. And sometimes that's a really tricky place to navigate. So in those places, you want to start to be armed with a little bit of awareness and understand that they're in a different place. And if we offend them, where chances are, if we actually speak in a way that's actually offensive, chances are we risk losing the friendship or alienating them. Our Sweet Freedom fighter did not do that. She just basically calmly said she wasn't going to have them, and she later had the conversation, and there was a resolution of understanding where both parties were coming from. One of the analogies that's really, I find helpful in explaining to people is it was when they find out that sugar is made in the same way we make illegal drugs like heroin, cocaine, acid, all those kinds of things, where it's the removal of the macro micronutrients, making it toxic and addictive. And perhaps sharing with them some of the information about how addictive sugar is can be helpful. But just imagine the same scenario. Pushing in front of someone and saying, "I made all these drugs. I've got heroin, a bit of ecstasy, a bit of cocaine." Maybe it sounds like a party you've been to. Don't know. But imagine putting it in front of someone and saying, "If you don't have this, you're going to hurt my feelings." And we're a social species, and we're in a highly addictive species. We like to collude and have drugs together. So imagine that sugar is made in the same ways, and when someone's presenting that to you, they're presenting something that if you're on the Sweet Freedom journey and you are addicted to sugar, those substances, there's not a great deal of difference for you partaking of that than you would be partaking of sugar. And helping people understand that sugar lights up the brain's drug receptors 8 times more than cocaine. And some of the research that's coming out, the fact that it's connected to 146 diseases and chronic conditions, and that how it actually affects you and your feelings. And this is a big thing. When you're making a bold move like getting off of sugar, it requires a lot of resources. And when you can actually say to someone, "I really appreciate the work that you put into all those desserts and sweets. I really appreciate that it's your way of showing love. But for me right now, for my body, I don't actually feel like it. So you can say to people, I know you put a lot of love, care, and attention into making those sweets, and that it's your way of showing love. I really just don't feel like it now. And even though there might be a part of you that would love that, the part you don't feel like is how it's going to make you feel. And if you just kind of lead with that, no one can argue with your feelings. And if they're wanting you to have something that doesn't make you feel good, or you don't feel like to put their feelings ahead of your feelings, it might be a sign that you need to have a conversation with them about it. So although your new way of being can be confusing to people, in some cases it can even be threatening because you're no longer colluding with them. You are actually the joy killer at the event or the party, or if you're the parent, you're the joy killer of the parents who take great pleasure in giving treats to their children. The bottom line is that you deserve to make choices, strong choices for a strong life, to engage in that act of self-love and self-care. And when you come to it, you're making those decisions mindful of these and the strategies that we share in the Sweet Freedom Online program. It really is a game changer for bringing people not just to understand what you're thinking and how you're thinking and bring them on board, but in the end, you can actually have them as some of your biggest supporters and advocates. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and like it. Subscribe to the channel and share it with people you care about that can benefit from this. And join our incredibly supportive Facebook group. And lastly, if you're looking to get sugar-free naturally, follow the links below and find out more about the Sweet Freedom Online program.